Hello, I'm Amara Jones and welcome to Caffeine TV, your daily video news brief. Here to take you through 3 headline numbers in just 3 minutes, giving you a different take on everything from housing policy to the Real Housewives. No, I didn't watch the AMAs last night, but according to everything that I've read, the only person that won was 70-year-old Diana Ross, and that ought to tell you something about the music business. The first number up today is 36. Now, that's the age of Ferguson resident Becca Campbell, who over the weekend ended up accidentally killing herself. Now, her death is no laughing matter, but it does underscore the way in which events in Ferguson show the farce of the way that race operates in America. Now, last week we spoke about the fact that gun sales in St. Louis County are increasing nearly 700%, largely driven by white fears of black violence, and the grand jury does not return an indictment of Officer Wilson. And one of those was Becca Campbell, who was on her way back home from the gun shop over the weekend and was waving the gun around in the air, screaming, "I'm ready for Ferguson." Well, her partner who was driving the car was trying to dodge her waving hand and not get in the head, and while he was distracted, ended up rear-ending a car in front of him. Her finger was on the trigger, the gun went off, and she died from the gunshot wound. Now, this is clearly tragic, but if there's a better metaphor for the way that race is operating right now in America, I can't think of one. And it's also an extreme example of that old adage to remember that when you point one finger at somebody else, there are always 3 pointing back at you. The next number up today is $2,000, as in $2,000. Now, according to former NBC manager Frank Scotty, who's 90 years old, that's how much he paid in the 80s and 90s each month to women with whom Bill Cosby had had inappropriate sexual encounters to keep quiet. He did so in the Daily News, and we put it up on our Facebook page. Now, perhaps Scotty's revelations will be enough to blunt the growing backlash against the internet backlash against Bill Cosby. You may have seen it on your own Facebook page where people are saying that this is just an attempt to crucify Cosby in the media. I guess for some, the accounts of 16 women who say that they were raped by Cosby, 12 of whom were drugged while he did so, aren't enough for their claims to be taken seriously. But Scotty kept the receipts, and photos of those receipts are in the paper. And we've reached a really jacked up point, though, that when the receipts for money can end up counting more than the agonizing stories of women. But hey, that's just where we are. And for all of those people out there who say that feminism is dead and the women's movement is over and that all women need to do is to lean into their lives, this is Exhibit A of why you need to have several seats. The next number up today is 8, as in 8 out of 10. Now, according to the FBI's reported in the website Vox, that's the proportion of white people who are killed by other white people. Yep, white on white crime. Now, the reason why we're talking about that is because yesterday on Meet the Press, Professor Michael Eric Dyson of Georgetown got into a very heated exchange with Mayor Rudy Giuliani, former mayor of New York, who created the New York police state, about the excessive use of police force in communities of color. And Giuliani basically said that that force was justified because of black on black crime, that it shows that blacks are more violent, 90% of black people killed by other black people, and so you just have to use more force. And Michael Dyson just said, well, that just showed the white supremacy in his mind. But all that to the side, it actually shows also a willful ignorance. The fact is that 16-year-old white boys aren't getting gunned down, even though whites are more likely to kill whites, and nor are whites who are walking up their apartment buildings getting gunned down. It basically doesn't happen. And so honestly, Mayor Giuliani, this isn't a matter of statistics. What it is a matter of race and right and wrong, and we ought to just have the courage to admit it.